everybody on YouTube. Hello. I'm Alexia and I love all things makeup, beauty, skincare, fashion, popular opinion, and pop culture. If you're into any of those things, keep on watching. Now today for this video, I wanted this to be a Valentine's Day type of video. So I will be going over about 10 Valentine's Day palettes that are in my collection. Let's get started. So the first palette I want to mention is the Juvia's Place Blush Rose palette, which looks like this. And the inside looks like this. So this palette is one of my favorite pink palettes to use because it has a variation of pinks, varying from light pink to like a dark maroon type color to a lighter pinkish shimmer to a gold shimmer that you could use to accent or put over your eyes as well. So this is definitely a good palette that I usually use for my go-to pink looks. I love it. It was also cheap too. I got this on sale, so it was about $7, but usually the smaller palettes like these usually go to $14. I got it at Ulta. Now my next palette that I want to talk about is the Huda Beauty Naughty palette. So it looks like this. And the inside, if I can get this without showing the mirror, looks like this. It's such a pretty palette. I use it almost every day because it does have a lot of variations of pinks, maroons, and browns, so it's very easy for me to use. Very blendable. I love this palette. And it was, I believe I got this on sale during the Sephora sale, so it was half the price of what it was originally, so I believe it was about $30 when I paid for it. So I think on the site, let me check, on the Sephora site it would go for about probably $65, I believe, or $60. So yes, it's about $67 or $65, I believe, on the Sephora site. So the next palette I want to talk about, or I want to mention, is the ColourPop's Cherry Crush palette. I don't have many reds in my collection, but this right here, I love the colors. The different variations of reds is just, it's so pretty. And this red shimmer, these shimmers are so pretty. Like, look at that. Ooh, I'm horrible at swatches, but these are so pretty. When they're on the eyes, ugh, gorgeous. The only thing I would do differently about this palette is put a mirror in it, because I always have to grab another palette that has a mirror to use it, so that's the only downside to this palette. But really, oh, love the colors, love the eye looks I create with that palette. And it was so cheap and affordable too. The next palette that I love using during this time of year, or this time of holiday I should say, is the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. So this, I don't think it's new. It's not new or anything. People have been using it for a while. This is my second palette of it because I use it so much. For me, it's more so an everyday palette, not just a Valentine's Day, palette. But the soft looks that I can create with this, I just love. and it doesn't take that much effort to create, which is again another thing that I love about this palette. So the next palette that I want to mention, again, is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, is the Amrezy palette. Pink is one of my favorite colors, obviously. So when this palette came out, I had to have it. Like, the glitters in here, just, also on that side, the gold, that light pink up top there. It's just gorgeous, you know, and it doesn't just have to be pink looks that I create with this. I also love using the blacks and the browns in this palette, as well as that pop of blue to either stick in my inner corner or just on the lid between another color. So love that palette, love it. The next palette I want to talk about is the Desi Katie Dose of Colors palette that they had. Now this to me is just another neutral palette with a pop of color, which is that blue right in the corner. If I could just get rid of this mirror for a second. But yeah, it's gorgeous. And the pink in here, gorgeous. It's like a magenta type of pink. It's so pretty, so pretty. I would show you the swatch, but it won't do it justice. So that is another palette that I use. And this palette is a Pat McGrath palette that I want to talk about. It is the Mothership eyeshadow palette, what is it? The Rose Decadence, the smaller one palette. The smaller Rose Decadence palette, which looks like this. Now I had this for quite a while, but it's, as you can tell, it's been well loved by all the dents and the colors. It's just a beautiful palette, from the pinks to the different shifts the gold has in it, to this lighter pink on this side, to this purplish color. Oh, I just love using this palette. I love it. And with the, like, these shimmers that Pat McGrath does, impeccable. Just, oh, it's one of my paint go-to palettes I just love using. Now this next palette I want to talk about is another Anastasia palette. This is the Jackie Aina Beverly Hills palette, the collaboration they did with Beverly Hills. Just look at it. Now again, this is my second palette of this because I use it so much. I just love it. And this one's almost done. Like you can tell because I've panned like almost 4 shades in here. Just, I might need another palette by the looks of it. But I love using this palette. If I want a purple look, if I want a pink look, if I want a brownish look with a pop of red in the middle, this is what I'm reaching for. This palette right here. You can do no wrong with this palette. And it's so pigmented and easy to use. I just love that palette. Now the next palette I want to talk about is the ColourPop palette. It's the ColourPop Barbie palette. I got this palette because it said Barbie and it was pink. So I bought it. And I will not lie, I have not used this palette as much as my other palettes, but I can't declutter it. I just love the color story of this Barbie palette. I really think they hit it out of the park with this. Like, look at that. Like, even when you turn it, it's so beautiful. The pink right in the middle, I love it. Another ColourPop palette that I want to include in this video is the ColourPop Strawberry Cheesecake palette. This little eyeshadow thing I used on my face today with a little bit of, white eyeliner. I use the pinks on my cheeks as well as blush, just to give it a little pop. Um, but I love this for how small and compact it is, and it's just easy to use. I don't have to think about anything, honestly, and that's what I love about makeup. I love my makeup to be easy to use. I don't want to spend hours on it, even though I spend a good hour, using makeup and doing my makeup. I don't want to spend like 4 hours doing makeup. I'm not artistic. I'm not, the best at doing makeup, but things like these just, I love it. And that's all the palettes I consider Valentine's Day palettes in my collection. So if you stayed towards the end of the video, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the content, and I will see you next time. Bye.